The air above Aethel thrummed with failing engine light. The city was adrift, starved of the Sunstone Compass's stabilizing magic. Kael, Cartographer Explorer, had descended into the subterranean vaults of the Gloom Collective. Success. He had bypassed the main pressure seals using only a repurposed barometer and a coil of wire. He stood in the great hall, the shadows here thick and palpable, yet his small internal clockwork lantern cast a cone of defiant gold. But his relief was a fragile thing. A low, grinding chime echoed from the ceiling. He hadn't noticed the pressure plate beneath the barometer's coil. An alarm. Kael's gaze snapped to the far wall, where thick ventilation ducts slammed shut with a hiss of steam. He had precious seconds before the corridor locked down completely. The shortest route was now sealed. He spun, mapping the room for an alternative exit. Scrambling through a service hatch, Kael unrolled his precious map, a blueprint stolen from the Collective's outer guard barracks. Tracing the lines, he noticed a faint smudge of metallic ink, an old, forgotten maintenance shaft. He pushed deeper. The map detail was too faint. It didn't align perfectly with the magnetic north provided by his alignment rig. Was the smudge a genuine structural detail or a deliberate, archaic cartographic trap? Kael paused, breath held tight. Trust the ghost lines, Kael remembered thinking as he chose the left path. He relied not on his instruments, but on the subtle shifts in the air currents, mapping the space with his intuition. Moments later, the right-hand passage collapsed with a deafening groan, a pressure trigger trap. Kael had steered them clear. The intuition was sound. He was closer now to the central power core where the compass was held. The progress stalled instantly. A figure materialized from the deepest shadow, sleek armor absorbing the meager light. It was Moros, the Shadow Warden, the Collective's grim enforcer. Kael of Aethel, the Warden hissed, voice like grinding stone. You are quite lost. Kael drew the small, calibrated surveying blade he kept strapped to his forearm. He was cornered, nowhere to run. Kael knew he couldn't win a direct fight. He used a smoke bomb, a specialized charting beacon filled with dense, metallic particulate, and fled into a ventilation shaft high above. Moros's shadow claws raked his shoulder just as he squeezed through. Hidden behind a massive steam pipe, Kael ripped a strip from his shirt and tightly bound the bleeding wound, catching his breath. He had escaped, for now. He slid down a vertical duct, landing heavily near the chamber door. The sunstone compass was just beyond, radiating a faint, hopeful warmth even through the thick vault door. But the door required a specific frequency alignment, deciphered only by the decoder ring Kael wore. He patted his glove. Empty. It must have slipped off during the fight with Moros, swallowed by the darkness. His key was gone. A true cartographer finds the route, even when the markers fail. Eldrin's words, his mentor, echoed in Kael's mind. Kael remembered the old methods, aligning natural harmonics. Rifling through his utility belt, he found a small, polished amethyst, a resonant crystal used for mineral mapping. It wasn't a decoder, but if positioned correctly against the door's frequency plate, it might just vibrate at the right wavelength. The crystal worked. The massive bolts retracted with a deep hydraulic sigh. Kael stepped inside. The air was unnaturally still. Too still. He realized the chamber was designed as an acoustic trap. The perfectly smooth, circular walls would amplify any sustained noise, drawing Moros back instantly. He had to be silent, or all his efforts would be for nothing. In the center of the room, the sunstone compass floated, radiating pure, warm energy, a glowing sphere of light encased in brass and ancient mechanics. Kael couldn't touch it. Its energy field was too unstable. Focusing his intent, he hurled the amethyst into the field. The crystal shattered, but its concentrated vibration destabilized the energy shield just long enough. Kael plunged his hand forward and grabbed the compass. The retrieval was immediate and devastating. The Gloom Collective systems, suddenly deprived of their anchor, screamed in protest. Cracks fissured across the chamber walls, dust and rock raining down. Kael tucked the warm, heavy compass into a protective pouch and sprinted back towards the open vault door. The entire subterranean structure was collapsing around him. Kael burst from the final shaft and emerged onto the upper docking bay of Aethel, just as the entire city began to tilt precariously. He raced to the central spire, the compass burning a triumphant gold. He slammed the sunstone compass into its housing. A wave of stable, humming power radiated outward. Aethel steadied. The engines hummed back to full strength, and above the city, the true light of the morning sun broke through the clouds, guided once more by the unwavering heart of the floating metropolis. Kael, the cartographer, looked up and smiled. His journey had saved the map,